felt kind of also breaks the mold in the sense that it's rated R, but it is still kind of your typical superhero film.
I think Logan is such an anomaly because it was just kind of like thrown in there. Like it always felt like a movie that wasn't connected to anything. Mm-hmm. Like even though it's like, yeah, you still have Patrick Stewart, in there, and you got obviously Hugh Jackman, but like they pulled in characters from the Fox universe. It still never felt like, yeah, somewhere in the timeline of the Fox universe, this is where they eventually got, and this is where that movie is now. It always just kind of felt like this is just a movie, like
it was a standalone.
Yeah.
The timeline for X-Men films is so jacked up. It's kind of just like it was respected as a standalone send-off, but
right.
Is going to obviously get thrown back in as like, oh, it's still canon, but
right.
That being said, that was supposed to be Hugh Jackman's final goodbye, shake, pat you on the ass,
which is crazy because I feel like when you saw that too, it was almost like the same thing. I mean, it was pretty much the same thing as the Robert Downey Jr. thing with Endgame, where it's like you spent all these years with this character. We spent all these years with Hugh Jackman. And now this is, and they even marketed it this way. They didn't do the same for RDJ. You just had to experience it when you watched the film, but they marketed it in a way of like, like this is his last outing. He talks about it in the press tours. Like, I'm done after this. I really feel like I put my all into this one. And, all the things that they were saying during that whole press run. And it got you hyped, especially for fans who know the comic, the Old Man Logan comic. You know what's about to happen, and you're just waiting for it to unfold, and you really just want to see how they did. And you see it, and like James Mangold did fantastic. Like it was a fantastic movie. They encapsulated like that comic and adapting it to the big screen very, very well. And then you felt like they closed the book on that, and you're just like, wow. Like I remember being like almost emotional watching that, because you're just like, you were a kid and you grew up watching this. Now you're, a young adult, and you're like seeing a part of your childhood like be done with. It's like, oh, we're never gonna get any more X-Men movies, probably, at least not with those casts. We're never gonna get any more Wolverine, at least not with Hugh Jackman. And like, wow, I mean, if we're gonna go out, like, I'm glad they went out on this movie because that was so perfect.
Yeah, and then I think came out the kind of the worst X-Men films after that, which is like New Mutants, Apocalypse was kind of in there. Where we got Dark Phoenix, where we got Bambi Leg, James McAvoy walking up the stairs.
Oh God, not the Bambi legs.
I honestly really like that scene. I thought that was hilarious, but like, I don't know.
Hilarious is crazy. I don't know if that scene was supposed to be funny.
It wasn't supposed to be funny.
People were laughing in the theater though.
I was laughing.
That's crazy.
I loved it, but not for the reasons why.
Not for the reasons intended.
Yeah.
Boy, was that guy acting.
Yeah.
He said he really couldn't stand. That's how great of an actor he is. He was struggling to stand up. Look at those legs.
Do you think if this is a side tangent, do you think that was James McAvoy's Blade 3 where he refused to open up his eyes and they just said, we'll just strap him up and we'll just have to dangle him like a puppet? Or
that's
you think
crazy.
That's just James McAvoy trying his best to...
They said, the Fox people said, we're going to trank him and we're just going to string him up on some strings and we're just going to just puppeteer his way through the rest. Nah, you can't say that. Dude was acting in that film. Yeah, he was acting.
He did good.
Him and like, I mean, everyone did fine in that movie. I'm not gonna sit here and discredit any of the actors for that film. They all did a really good job. I think that film suffered a lot from maybe script changes. I'm not aware of what was going on with that. I know they were having some rights kind of issues with the villains. And, that's why we kind of got some weirdness with like changing the names. It was like at one point, was it going to be Skrulls or were they going to be something else?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And it's just like, what's going on? And they named them something weird. I don't remember. They were like nameless villains, I think. Nameless aliens, which made it
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think they gave up. Honestly, I think they just gave up. And not saying that the acting and the directing.
I think with what I know now about like how movies get made, I don't think that that's probably necessarily was the case. I think that, sometimes when so much isn't, because like the thing is, you gotta think about when you make a movie, it's an investment. It's like buying a new car every time you make a movie, but that car costs like millions of dollars. And no one just wants to just like, no one either wants to or even has, like no director or one producer just has or wants to shell out millions of dollars of their own money for this movie to be made, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to get people to pitch in and say, hey, I'll give you this, but you got to give me this in return. It's usually more money, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, cool. But, I got to sell the movie and it's got to make money first, right?
Right.
But I think, you make that promise, like you have a loan now and you get so far down along the line of the process. And if things aren't panning out in the way that you want to, you can't just say, oh, well, F it, guys. Yeah, guess we'll pack it up. We'll try again next time. No, you gotta put it out. Especially if, you got people to pay back. Yeah, you gotta put that out. So I don't think it's necessarily a thing of like people gave up. I think like other factors were contributing to the decisions that they made. And it's like once the train got rolling, like you can't stop it now. Like we have to kind of just work with what we got and hope people see it. And people will always go see X-Men movies. You could make an X-Men movie tomorrow and put a whole new cast in, and people are still going to go see it. It's not going to. I don't think it will necessarily do terrible. I think the main reason why New Mutants did terrible was because that one took so long to get in the theaters. They changed the release date a million times, and it was also during the pandemic.
Did it even get released in theaters?
I don't think so. I think eventually they just had to drop it on HBO.